Hello, my name is Tiffany Domina, and I am here with Tiffany Kelly, and we are the Agape Network. We are here today to discuss with you self-talk. We know a lot of you are experiencing negative self-talk. You may be thinking to yourself every day, I can't do this, or maybe I can do this, and we want to teach you ways that we've learned how to overcome negative self talk. And prayerfully, we can help you to be more successful at reaching your highest potential in life. Tiffany, can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. I am Tiffany Kelly with TK Coaching Company. And as Miss Tiffany Domina said, we are here to talk about self talk. So some of you may be thinking or wondering what is self talk? And it's kind of pretty self explanatory. It's those thoughts that you have in your head. So self talk is what we tell ourselves on a day to day basis, it's what drives us. Oftentimes, our self-talk does not measure up to what the vision or the mission that we have for our life. And so today we want to talk about how to eradicate negative self-talk and begin to plant seeds that will be fruitful to help you to reach your highest potential and those thoughts that will help you to succeed. So self-talk is basically, in a nutshell, what do you say to yourself on a day-to-day basis? And we know that thoughts are things, and so if you want to do an assessment of what your self-talk is, do a quick inventory of your life, because your life is a blueprint of the things that go on in your head, the thoughts that you have in your head. So the things that you're telling yourself manifest themselves in the physical. So if you're in a place currently where you don't want to be, that means that there has been some things that you sold yourself to believe that have brought you to that point. And so some of the ways that you can eradicate those negative thoughts is, one, you have to be aware of them. So a lot of us run on autopilot. I know for a long time, my biggest goal was go to school, get a good job. Good grades, so I can get a good job. I didn't pay attention to what it is that I truly, absolutely wanted. What are those things that I wanted for myself? I was going along with what was told to me. And so as I grew older, I realized that some of those things that were told to me, or some of those thoughts that I had, didn't necessarily support where I wanted to be. So I had to beginning. So I had to begin to listen to the thoughts that were going on in my head and assess if they were positive, which meant they were going to bear fruit of prosperity or success, or if they were negative and they would keep me stagnant and agitated. So in doing that, what I realized was a lot of the things that that were going on in my head were not good. It was doubt, it was fear, and even just things that were so preposterous that never would have even happened. But in my mind, I had started to believe that those were things. I couldn't do this because I would come up with excuses. So a lot of times my self-talk is excuses. I come up with all these reasons why I can't do A, B, and C. And so for me, one of the techniques that I've used is to write down those thoughts. So what I'll do is if I'm facing something that I want to do, I'll write down the thoughts or the excuses that I come up with. And then I come up with ways I can overcome it. So what are some strategies that you use, Tiffany, or what is self-talk to you?
I agree with you that self-talk is what we say to ourselves. And like you said, being aware is very important. And even being aware is a process. So I know that the process of being familiar with what we're thinking is something that like we aren't always attentive to, and we aren't always attentive to what thoughts are just associated with our own perception rather than what thoughts are associated with knowledge or universal, um, like universal perception. You know,
Mhm.
knowledge is universal and it's applicable to everybody. But a lot of times, the knowledge that or the perception that we have of our thoughts, will think that they're good, but if we were to talk to someone else, we will find that they're actually not good thoughts. And
Mhm.
so being aware, I believe that the process of being aware has a lot to do with meditation, closing your eyes, and just like, you know, allowing your thoughts to flow
Mhm.
and just pinpointing, is this a thought that's going to create productivity? That's too loud. Um, but, noticing a thought and thinking, is this thought going to create greater productivity in my life? Or is this thought going to create destruction? Or is this thought going to cause me to regress in my life? Because, some of our thoughts cause us to, like, I was talking to some coworkers today, and this is just an example of a thought that will cause us to regress. A lot of people, because of the government benefits, they will encapsulate themselves to a certain lifestyle instead of, like, for instance, welfare. You can only get on welfare if you make under this amount of money. So then let me not make more than this so that I can stay on welfare. Well, that thought right there is a thought that's going to imprison you to a certain standard of living.
Mhm.
Want a greater standard of living than that, then you have to analyze those thoughts and become aware that I'm discontent in this present moment. And that discontentment becomes a blessing because you use it to accelerate your future. So, yeah. So, I think there's steps in you talked about becoming aware. I think you can even dissect that a little bit more and say that becoming aware comes with different steps. I would say that becoming aware has to do with um, being still,
Mhm.
you know, just being in a being still, not trying to push anything, relieving yourself of anxiety, relieving yourself of how can you, where am I going to get this from, who's going to bring it to me, just alleviating all of the thoughts of the future, because once you realize that you have no control over the future, and as far as you cannot your control is your thoughts. you know
Right.
um, your control is not over everybody else's free will or who is going to bring anything to you. Your control is over your thoughts, and based on what you think, you will create the laws of attraction to bring things to you. But
Absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
thoughts of having those, like, thoughts of how is this going to happen, and practical thoughts, it alleviates the faith. Faith is having hope in something that you can't see.
Right.
um we have to have that. We have
Right.
to know that even though something is being constructed in the spiritual, it's not yet here in the physical. And um part of, we have to, that awareness, that was really good what you said. I
I
definitely do that.
I wanted to say about being aware with thoughts. You also should be aware of your body, your feelings. Um,
Exactly.
Oftentimes when if you're scared or if I mean, just paying attention to, I think what you said was powerful. Definitely, I always tell people to meditate and get into that still place, because that's when you really can pay attention to how much actually goes on in your head. And it's
Mm,
constant, it's daily, it's always um, g- going. You're always talking to yourself. You're always making decisions. We're constantly choosing this or choosing that, and if we never pay attention to that, then we just go on autopilot, and we oftentimes we end up places we don't necessarily want to be. And one of the things that um, I was going back to the awareness of your body. Your body will tell you if you're uncomfortable. Your body will tell you if you're happy, if you're, sad. And all of those things derive from the things that are going on in your head. All of those things derive from your thoughts. So you literally can change the course of your life by changing your self-talk. If you really pay attention to what you're saying to yourself in your head and also how your body is responding. So if you get scared, stop and be aware of what is it that's causing me, what thoughts have I been just thinking that's causing me to be scared, or if it's you feel sad. What's causing me to feel sad? What have I been creating in my mind that's causing my emotion, the emotion of sadness? Sometimes we believe, or we've been taught that things just happen. And some things do happen, but the way you react is on you. And the way you react is based on the self-talk that's going on in your head. So how do so in this situation, something tragic may have happened, or anything could have happened. How do you react?
Right.
And paying attention to that, and then readjusting and deciding at that point, how am I going to engage from here? So I was talking to a friend the other day, and he made a statement that if you are not consciously engaging at all times, is wasted time. And I was like, wow, that's deep. Like, the Bible says to take every thought captive. There's a reason for that. We shouldn't just be allowing our thoughts to just go on autopilot. We should be taking those thoughts captive and dissecting them so that we can make better decisions. We can make wiser decisions. We can see what is it that is serving me well and what is not. And then those things that are not serving you well, you have to uproot it. So not just aware, but you have to get rid of it. You got to pluck it out, because if you don't, it's going to keep reoccurring. So you have to take time to dissect it to see what is the root of that thought. Why do I think that, and why am I continuously believing that? And is that my truth?
Right.
And I think that's a big thing too, deciding does that serve you authentically for yourself? Because as humans, we come into the world, we pick up beliefs and habits and things from our parents, from our environment, from teachers, from society. Those thoughts may not necessarily support who you are authentically. And they may be a truth for someone else, but it may not be a truth for you. And so if you never take the time to find out where those thoughts come from and then dissect it to say if it supports me, is this a thought that I need to keep because it's prosperous, it's bringing great fruit, it's manifesting great fruit in my life, or is it something that I picked up and it really doesn't support me? And I think so often we don't take the time to do that, and it's so vital, because if you don't, you continue to go in a cycle that's not beneficial, not necessarily beneficial to you. So, self-talk is deep, man.
That's really good. And another thing that was coming to my awareness is you were talking was that a lot of times, we'll look around and we'll see a lot of people, and they may be happy in the midst of the situation, and you feel disgruntled by it. You know what I'm saying? You feel discontent, like right now in the position that you're in. Maybe other people may be looking up to that position and say, I want to be the area manager of this. I want to be the, whatever position you're in right now. Another person may be seeking after that position that you feel discontent in. And that doesn't mean that something's wrong with you, because I know that was another way I was inflicting negative self-talk on myself, because like being in my position in the military and like understanding that like my position was one that people have to work to get to, and I have to test to achieve the rank that I have, and I have to, you know, different things. I know that it's an aspiration for some people, and I have to be grateful for the position that I have. But even though even in the position that I have to understand that just because I'm not satisfied with it doesn't mean something's wrong with me. Because I
Right.
used to try to change the way that I thought towards the position and say, you know what, like just be grateful for it. You can, you know what I'm saying? I tried to shut off my feelings of discontentment rather than to welcome them with open arms. But what my feelings of discontentment were telling me is that even though other people are satisfied here, I need to be pushed into another area. I need to, you know, I need to disconnect from like this um, style of life or this the way that the life is going now. I need
Hmm.
to disconnect from that and attach myself to something else because my purpose isn't being fulfilled here. So I learned through that situation to appreciate the discontentment that I have and to understand that anytime I feel discontentment is because I'm limiting my potential. It's because I'm limiting my purpose from being fulfilled. And discontentment isn't bad when you can think of it like that. When you feel that feeling, it's something to appreciate because I started to look around and notice, you know, other people aren't feeling this discontentment. You know, it's me feeling it. And it's okay for me to feel that, but I need to come up with a solution for it and not prolong the feeling. Because if
Right.
I prolong the feeling, then it feels bad. But if I take that feeling and I come up with a solution or a strategy because I have that feeling, then the feeling was a blessing, you
Right.
know?
So it goes back to your perception as to how you know, like you said, how you thought about it.
Right.
Um, and
That
I
was
think
my
that's
self-talk.
right. And that was powerful. So you had to, eradicate those thoughts of that maybe I should just, why am I feeling like this? This is a bad thing. No. And that's beautiful that you could see that I can use this to my benefit, you know. And oftentimes we don't do that, you know. And like you said, it's key to understand what your purpose is. When you know what your purpose is, uh, your self-talk is going to start changing because
Mm-hmm.
then you have a focal point, you have a where you're guided and where you know, okay, well, this is where I'm going. And you can start listening to those thoughts in your head and determining if these thoughts support my vision. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't, then you do have to allow them to flow, but you have to be aware of them because now when you become aware, you have to replace that thought with something that does support your vision.
Right.
You know, and so I think you talked about it in meditation oftentimes. I know for me, when I first started to meditate, it was so hard for me to get to a place of stillness because my mind was going on a million, and one thing, and I still
You
struggle with
have
that.
to.
And
Like from my experience, I thought I had to like think about something. Like I have to think about being calm. Let me think about
think
that.
about it.
Okay, calm down. I'm thinking this in my mind. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down. It's like just stop, you
Right,
know? Don't force anything. Just let loose, you
right,
know.
and just be and allow those, take that time to look at. It's kind of like for me, it's almost like a screen, just to, how sometimes you'll have screens and the words will flow by. Like for
Mm,
me, that's how, in my meditation, I allow those thoughts to just, flow by. Okay, thank you for sharing that, and if it's something that supports me, then I hold on to it. If it's something that doesn't support me, I make note of it so that later I can say, well, where did that come from? And what's the root of that thought? And I can get some clarity in that, like, okay, this is why I'm thinking this. Now, Does this support me? And what can I replace it with? You know,
Right.
just like you said with the discontentment, you understood that you could do one or two things. You could look at it as, oh, I shouldn't feel this way, or you could look at it as, this is a blessing that I'm feeling this. Now I can come up with strategies and ways to fulfill what it is that really is support that I desire, and it's not
Because
this particular position. You know, and being okay with that.
right,
Being
right.
okay with, if I have a different thought than your thought, it doesn't mean that my thought is wrong. It's just that. It's a different thought, and it's okay. And if it supports me, great. But if it doesn't, then I need to go back to the drawing board and say, how can I rearrange this to make it support where I'm going?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing is uprooting those thoughts that don't support and planting seeds that do support what you want. And the more you do that, then um, then the more your thoughts become positive. And we do that through affirmations as well. You know?
Mhm.
So, and I know you're an advocate of affirmations, Tiff. So, can you kind of expound on how affirmations have kind of served you in your self-talk?
Yeah, affirmations are just, you know, like you said, the beginning is to become aware of your thoughts and becoming aware of your feelings. But once you become aware of your thoughts, you'll notice that some of them are fear induced, some of
Mm-hmm.
them are, ego induced, some of them may be spirit induced. And
Mm-hmm.
you'll start to notice who's the illustrator of this vision that I'm seeing, who's the illustrator of, and when you notice who's the illustrator based on whether it's a thought of encouragement or a thought that's productive, or whether it's a thought of destruction. Once you notice that this thought is a thought of destruction, is going to cause me to do less than what I'm supposed to be doing. This thought is actually making me go backwards instead of forwards. Then you have to change the momentum of that thought by affirmations. And the affirmations are like, maybe you have thoughts that, I'm not good enough for this. I'm not worthy of this. I'm experiencing, I'm gaining weight, but I'm not worthy to lose it. I'm enjoying this food that's not good for me. But you have to start to reconfirm to yourself that my body is a temple of God. My body is, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. God assigned me a high value. I'm valuable to the world. My purpose is valuable to the world. And you start to change the momentum and attach the thought that you had, instead of allowing it to free flow on your perception, you attach that thought to knowledge, and then you can change the momentum of that thought by just it usually the I am affirmations are really powerful. And the I am affirmations, you have to be really attentive to what you say, because God called himself I am.
Right.
You have to know that when you say I am, you're assigning a deity to, you're reflecting the image of him at that point. So when you say I am, you can't put behind it like like verbs like weak or poor or
Right.
stubborn, tired, worn out. You have to put behind it, I am strong.
Mm-hmm.
Even like, you have to constantly, you'll have to really allow those thoughts to free flow. And when those thoughts free flow, you'll see thoughts of opposition to what it is that you're saying out of your mouth. But then you have to attach it to knowledge. And the only way you can find those things is through love. And so in love, you'll find that you won't be here if it wasn't, if you were strong, if you were really weak, you wouldn't have any purpose here. You have
Mm-hmm.
a strength. You have a purpose. You have a reason for being here, and your reason is just as unique as your fingerprint is. And the way that you'll manifest it is just as unique as your fingerprint is. And I know for me, being in a job where I have a uniform, and it's a it's a certain way that they want things done, and it's a regimented way to have things done. It's hard to be that unique person and distinguished person, or to feel that you are.
Hmm.
So in a situation like that, I used to feel like, because I was having a challenge with being unique, I used to feel like I was less than, or something was wrong, because everybody, it seemed like, other people aren't having this challenge with being uniform, but I am. So at that point, I, I had to change the momentum of those thoughts. It's not a problem with me because I'm having a challenge with being uniform. But this is saying something about where I'm supposed to be. Like
Hmm.
this challenge, I'm going against the grain of where God wanted me to be. He has me in a position where I'm supposed to. And so those are the affirmations that I would say to myself to break from the negative momentum that was going on in my mind.
Right. And I
And
think, go ahead, I'm
that's
sorry.
where I got confidence. That's where I got confidence. That's where the purpose of me being here on this earth really sunk into my heart, and I realized um, my greatest passion is to see people that are reaching their highest potential. That's it. And
Hmm.
over time, that purpose just like bubbled over in me, and I just love to see that. But what were you saying, Tiff?
So I think that some what you said is very powerful. As we begin to change those thoughts, one of the things that you said was you have to attach them to knowledge, and
Hmm.
knowledge is the one true thing. So it has to be when you can say that and believe that I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Um, that the Bible says, let the weak say that I am strong. So I am strong, and when you attach, like you said, that I am to it, and you repeat it, what you have to begin to do is recondition your mind to support who it is that you know you're supposed to be.
Can
You
I
know?
ask you a question though? Like in previous times when I would read that scripture, um, in previous times when I would read that scripture, I used to think that you're supposed to lie. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Even when it says speak those things that are not as though they are, I see a lot of people that do it in a format where it's more of a lie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They'll say, like, in the middle of a horrible situation, they'll say that they're a different way,
Right.
or like, if you haven't had something to drink for a day, and you haven't had anything to eat, and you really feel at your lowest low, and despite you feeling like that, maybe you aren't fasting, or it's not your intention to, you know what I'm saying, in that lowest low, to say you're strong. How do you do it without lying?
I think that that comes with belief, um, and faith. If you truly believe that, I am strong, then the difference in saying that is the belief system. If you believe that, then and you continuously say that, then it becomes a reality. So
Hmm.
even if I say, I'm a multimillionaire, but my self-talk continuously said, my mouth says I'm a multimillionaire, but my self-talk keeps telling me I'm broke. So what are, you only got $10 in the bank. Um, who are you to think that you can make that type of money? So it goes even back to that. If that's what your self-talk is saying, then you can say out your mouth all day. If your self-talk is still not believing that you can attain these things, or that, then it won't be a reality, and then then it can be looked at as a lie. So you have to be functioning in faith. So that goes back to, you have to start believing these things about yourself, accepting these things as knowledge, or as your truth. And so if God has given you a vision to do whatever it is that God has called you to do, or He has given you this assignment, and you believe that, then in believing that, that there are certain attributes, there are certain things that you're going to have to accomplish to get there, and there are certain attributes that you're going to have in order to stay there, or possess in order to, in order to obtain that. And so in doing that, for me, I look at that and I say, okay, now this I know I have to do. And I also know that I can't do it in this state, with this mindset, thinking this way. So what are ways that support that? What are ways that will help me, or what are attributes do I need to get there? And so if I understand, I know that these are attributes that I need, and I know that these are things that I have to accomplish, then they become a truth for me. They become knowledge. I know this to be true. So I believe that. So even though it may not have manifested in the physical, my belief is that it's going to happen. So my belief is that I am, my belief is that I am a multimillionaire. My belief is that I am traveling around the world, serving others and helping them to reach their highest potential. Because I believe that's what I'm doing. And I know that the steps that I'm taking now are leading up to that. So I think for you, it goes back to that faith and believing. You have to believe it. And if you don't believe it, then it does become, you're just shooting from the hip, because if you don't believe it, it won't become a reality.
I'm also under the belief that the self-talk is louder than the vocal vibrations that come from your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
So when your self-talk can actually be heard,
Mm-hmm.
if I feel weak, or I feel incapable, like, I don't have to say that out of my mouth before people notice, oh, let's assign somebody else to this task, because I can tell she doesn't, even
Right.
if I say, oh, I feel more than comfortable, the vocal vibrations from my mouth. So I know that every time I've experienced injustice, it's had something to do with the self-talk that I have, and it's affecting the dynamics of that situation. Because that person has to have, like, they have to have strong self-control to be able to over talk what I'm doing, especially when it's negative. It just seems like that the thoughts have to come so. They have to populate so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but are you also under the belief system that the thoughts that we have, the spiritual voice is a lot louder than the physical voice?
Absolutely. Your self-talk drives your actions. So that's why I always say, your life is a blueprint of the thoughts that you have and the actions that you take in based on those thoughts. So whatever your self-talk is, it's going to show up in the physical, because that's what drives you. So until you start becoming aware of those that negative self-talk, and begin to planting seeds that are positive,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, your self-talk drives you. It shows up in the physical. So
Yeah.
that's why I was saying, and that's a good example. Like, you can be saying one thing all the while, but if your actions show something different, then that's what you believe.
Right.
you know. And that's what, and so that's where we get that actions speak louder than words, because those things that you say out of your mouth, if they don't match up to your actions, then that's your actions are what's going on inside of your head. That's what you take action on. It starts with those thoughts.
Right. So we talked about being aware of thoughts and being aware of feelings, being comfortable with different. And I have written down that another thing that changes the momentum of your self-talk is being appreciative for small milestones. So, or being appreciative for milestones. They don't, size is a perception. So, but I know that a lot of times when we're actually experiencing the milestones, us personally, especially when you have a big vision, your milestones may seem small. You know, you get one subscriber on your blog, or you get one person to like your post or whatever, and you don't pay attention to that. That's actually a big deal. Like, it's a big deal, and it's a big deal. You know, that means that you're making impact. So
Exactly.
every ounce of because I know that's my report card, is whether or not I make an impact in other people's life, whether or not I'm positively affecting other people's life. Am I encouraging them enough? Are people like, are their lives transforming from being connected to me? Like, that is a huge sign for me that I'm doing something. You know, God is really pouring into me, and I am pouring nutrients into everybody connected to this vine. Um, with that being said, I know that it's difficult for us to be attentive to a milestone when we wanted something else. Like, you know, maybe you wanted 1,000 people to show up at your seminar, but you weren't you. It's hard to appreciate that one person did. You know.
Right, and I think that some of the ways to pay attention to that, or to eradicate that, and to also attract more to you, is one of the things that I try to do is have like I have a gratitude journal, like and I know you hear all your big wigs talk about it, but it's very important to um, write down or celebrate the small successes. They
Mhm.
may not, and I know you said that small is relative, which it is, but it's important that you show appreciation for every little thing, because those are the things that build up to the what you would consider the grand success.
Right.
So it's important to do that, because when you don't do that, oftentimes we feel like we're working and working and working and working, and you're not getting anywhere. Well,
Right.
you didn't pay attention to, that one subscriber, or you didn't pay attention to those three people who viewed your video, or did you even send a thank you, or, so write those things down, look at it, and if you do that, when you go back, and if you ever just go back and review it, you'll see like so much growth, and then you begin to draw even more things to you by showing appreciation for those things that we may consider small. Um, so I think that's one way too, and that helps you to start programming your mind or changing your self-talk too, because then you begin to look at things that may not last week that might not have been significant to you, but this week it's like, wow, I actually made some phone calls today. Wow, somebody came by and they were like, Tiff, that was an awesome video on, whatever it is that you're doing, or even if, just like I know I am appreciative when we have conversations and it's like, well, I'm appreciative even when you make a success. You know what I mean? It's just like, because,
Exactly.
because we're connected, and I know that we share a lot, and so it's just like, man, this is good. So
But
being
And to be honest, when you're connected with somebody, at the same time, like, you can you can, maybe you poured a mustard seed of an idea, or you being connected to that person was enough encouragement for them to try something that they wouldn't have had the courage to do otherwise. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know that I don't attribute my success to me alone. So when I do experience anything, I'm wanting to share, hey, this happened, this happened, because I know that I didn't get that idea on my own. You were a vessel that was used to encourage me.
Right.
So yeah.
So I think that self-talk is very, very powerful, whether it be positive or negative. If you allow it to be negative, then if you continue to allow it to be negative, then you won't be able to get the results that you desire. So it's important for us to take those thoughts captive, pay attention to what it is that we want, and be aware of our thoughts as well as our feelings, our emotions. What is your body telling you? And then get to the root of that. And that takes some time. So it's not something that happens, overnight. Because if you never been paying attention to your thoughts, and however old you are, you've been letting your thoughts run rapid for that long. You know what I mean? So it's going to take some time to condition those, or to begin reconditioning yourself to set yourself up for your highest potential. And
Very true.
it takes time, but it's very doable. And if you just even just take 5 minutes out the day and just like, what have I been thinking about today? How am I feeling? And if you pay attention to your body tells you every time. If you're sad, then 9 times out of, if you're sad, you've been having some negative self-talk. You know, if you're joyous, then you've been having some positive self-talk. What are you thinking about? Those are the things that are going on in your mind are creating those emotions in your body. And so pay attention to that, so that when you feel like you're sad or when you feel angry or whatever, adjust it. Replace it with something that's positive or something that's going to be beneficial at that moment, that will take you out of that emotion into the one that you desire.
Right. Another thing I want to add is, and because we have four things
Hmm.
that we should do to change our self-talk, the momentum of our self-talk from negative to positive. But the fifth thing that I want to add is protecting your environment, because the TV, the music that you listen to, the people that you're around, it doesn't matter whether they're family or whether they're friends or who they are to you, how you perceive them right now. But when you start to pay attention to your thoughts and who induced those thoughts, you'll notice that there are other people that have negative self-talk, and you have to protect your imagination with everything that you have. Is so valuable,
That's
and your imagination and the temple that you use to produce your thoughts, you have to protect that. And maybe you love the people that you're around, you love your friends, you love your family, you still have to find a way to cut certain conversations you won't be able to have with them because they have fear about. Maybe you are trying to invest in real estate, or maybe you are trying to invest in stock. And you'll find when you're trying to do that next milestone in your life that the person, the people that you've been around thus far, they are like saying, I don't know, that's risky. This is
hmm
like this is like that, and they'll be inducing negative self-talk. You'll start to have that negative self-talk if you don't protect your environment. So you have to put up, like, you have to put up hedges of protection around yourself so that you can make sure that that negative self-talk is not coming in. You want to
Right.
be around, that's why mentorship is so key, because you want to be around people that would encourage you the people that give you positive thoughts. People that say, "Oh, that's the piece of cake. You can do that with your eyes closed." You want
Right.
to be around people that are gonna, because that right there is spiritual commerce. That is those thoughts of. It says that wise words bring healing to the body.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing those words, you can. Um, it'll be easy for you. You are so equipped.
Right.
Hearing those knowledge words, those words of wisdom that say that those affirmations that you will, you're more than a conqueror. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your purpose is, this is consistent. Go for it. All of those people are the ones that you want to surround yourself with, because they'll put you in the position of productivity where you'll be able to manifest those visions. And you have to. It's just like I was studying the ant, and when they perceive a threat, they remove their eggs. That's their future right there. Um,
Mm.
what you have inside of your head is your future. What you have, your thoughts, all of that stuff, like Tiffany said earlier, thoughts are things. So what you are thinking about, those are all your eggs. So
Mm-hmm.
perceive, like when you notice that you're getting rebuttal about what you feel passionate that you're supposed to do, or the desires of your heart, that you have to protect that with everything that you have. You remove those eggs and you flee.
That's
Protect the
good. That's
environment.
real powerful because it other people will project their fear, their doubt, their everything, on you. And we have to remember that we are conscious beings. So your consciousness doesn't sleep. It doesn't. You're always receiving. We're always receiving information. So it's important that you protect that because the information that you receive, we're going to analyze it and then we create our truths or our data with it. So those things that, like Tiff was saying, people, television, all of that, you should be paying attention to what you're receiving because it becomes your self-talk. And um, not just because I had to go to a point where at night I used to sleep with the television on. And I
Mhm.
know a lot of us have experienced this, just even to prove that your consciousness is not sleep. A lot of times you will create a dream based on what's going on in the television.
Right.
So if it's fighting, you might be Batman, like, and you're fighting all these, you become a superhero and you're fighting villains and stuff in your head, and you wake up tired, because you've been fighting villains all night long in your head because
Right.
your consciousness has created that. So one of the things that I started doing for self-talk to help to reprogram or recondition my mind is listening to things that are positive or things that will help me or catapult me to the next level. So for a while I would listen to the Bible on audio, or I would listen to the Course of Miracles at night, just anything that could constantly Wayne Dyer has I Am Meditations, and it's like, I don't know if you've ever listened to it, but it sounds or
I,
whatever. It's very peaceful, So um, listening to those things because you know that your mind is consciously receiving all the time, 24/7. So what you're putting in is what you begin to also put out. So paying attention to those things that you listen to or that you're receiving on a day-to-day basis, whether it's media, whether it's family, friends, anybody, especially people of influence, um, you're so right, Tiffany. You have to protect that because if you don't, then you pick up other people's stuff and it doesn't support you.
right.
Then that pushes you back. It almost kind of delays your growth. So you have to be careful with it. That's when the Bible says take every thought captive. It means when you got to really guard those things and begin to plant good seeds so that you can get the fruit that you're looking for.
Right.
That was good stuff.
Right, I agree with that. And I think that we also have to know that the thoughts don't have to be the ones that we're focused on. but the thoughts also can be those subliminal thoughts can be creating something negative too. And so we have to be really attentive, not just to the thoughts that we actually focus to create, but like you were saying, even in your sleep, you were creating things. You don't have to be focused to be in the creation process.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate, everything that, all the feedback that you were given today, everything that correlated with the conversation. It was so enlightening to me. And I think self-talk has definitely been a topic that I've been able to glean from. And I know that you listeners will be able to also glean from this topic as well. We said that in order to change, negative self-talk, you want to do number one, you want to be aware of your thoughts. Number two, be aware of feelings. Number three, be comfortable with different. Number four, be appreciative for small milestones. Sorry, be appreciative for small milestones. And number five, protect your environment. And I think that sums it up for self-talk.
Yes.
Tiffany, can you define for us what is wisdom?
Um, for me, uh, wisdom to me is truth. It's knowledge. Um, it's knowledge. It's the principal thing, as the Bible would say. Wisdom is the principal thing. It is that truth. It's the knowledge. It's things that cannot be changed. Um, it's irrefutable. It just is, and it's unchangeable. To
Well, I want
me,
to say, sorry, did you have more? Sorry.
no. So I was just gonna say, to me, that's what wisdom is.
From my experience, I've seen, people that have it and people that don't have it. And the people that have it, they can easily attain money. They can easily attain friendships. They can easily maintain relationships. And I noticed that in order to be strong in any area, in order to manifest anything positive, you first have to have wisdom.
Hmm.
If you want to have a joyful marriage, first you have to have the wisdom of how to do that. If you want to be CEO of your workplace, first you have to have the wisdom of how to do that. If you want to be a teacher, you have to have some wisdom. If you want to be a good parent, you have to have wisdom. So next week we'll be talking about wisdom. Um, we're both committed to doing research and allowing God to speak to us this week about wisdom. So we're more than excited to pour out and to share whatever it is that we have. If you all have anything, I know that there's a lot of wisdom that will be listening to these videos and listening to our podcast. So if you have anything that you're willing to share with us about wisdom and how to apply it to our lives, please inbox me or inbox Tiffany Kelly. We're on Facebook. You're also on Google Plus. But we can be found on either platform. My website is www.mandatorysuccess.com. You can go to the Contact Us tab and let me know whatever it is that you have about wisdom. I'll be sure to mention it and to say, this is something that I gained from it because I appreciate hearing feedback. And Tiffany, where can you be contacted if somebody wanted to leave information for you?
Absolutely. You definitely can find me on Facebook, Tiffany Kelly or TK Coaching Company. That's my business page. Also, my website is www.tkcoachingcompany.com. So definitely hit me up, send me an inbox, or at the bottom of this, hangout, if you send us some feedback, we'll definitely contact you. Because we look forward to it. We want it to be a dialogue, so we look forward to gleaning from you as we pour out. We definitely want you to glean from us and to help us replenish us. If it would be
Yeah.
nice to hear some things from you as well. So just
And also, if you have anything more about how to change the momentum of negative self-talk, Also, put those comments below. We're open to hearing everything that people have to say about how to change the momentum of negative self-talk. We want many people to be blessed by what we're doing here at the Agape Network. So let us know. Put your comments below, and that closes us off for the night. Tiffany, did you want to close us out in prayer?
Absolutely. Eternal God, our Father, God, we just thank you for the awareness that you've brought here tonight about self-talk. We just pray that all that we do, all that we say here will be a blessing to your people, and that they will grow and learn, and also that we will grow and learn and just be led by you to do what it is that you've called us to do. As we unite here at the Agape Network, we just ask you to continue to pour into us, continue to allow us to do what it is that you've called us to do, to help people to reach their highest potential as you lead and guide us to ours. We thank you. We thank you for this platform. We thank you for pouring into us. We thank you for just giving us your benevolent spirit. We love you, we praise you, and we worship you. We look forward to you stretching us and using us in mighty ways to build your kingdom. We ask that you just cover us and continue to lead us and guide us. We ask all these things in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen. And that wraps us up for tonight. Thank you for tuning into the Agape Network. We look forward to seeing you next week, where we will speak about wisdom. It's been a pleasure. Good night.